An Arkansas State football player killed in a triple shooting, the latest on the search for a suspect. Plus, fighting to wrestle.
When you tell that person they can't do what they love, it crushes a person.
While one student isn't going to be allowed to compete on the mat.
Now, from the station you count on for local news that matters and the home of the 2014 Winter Olympics. This is KARK 4 News at 5 in high definition.
An Arkansas State football player dead after a double homicide in Tennessee. Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Bob Clausen.
And I'm Ashley Ketz. 21-year-old Markel Owens was shot and killed during a home invasion. It happened in Jackson, Tennessee around 9:30 on Wednesday night. And investigators are even calling Owens a hero today. They believe that he was killed trying to make sure his mother and little brother weren't hurt in all of this. Markel Owens is known for making tackles on the Arkansas State football team.
He made the last tackle of his life last night, apparently. Owens was shot and killed during a home invasion at his parents' home in Jackson, Tennessee. A 21-year-old defensive lineman died defending his family. And Owens not only leaves behind a mother, but also a family naturally on the football field, a very close-knit family. KARK4's Jay Burr is in Jonesboro, where he talked to some of Owens' teammates as well as coaches. Jay, it's got to be a tough day up there.
Yeah, Bob, definitely a tough day, especially when you couple the fact that classes haven't quite started up here. They actually start next Tuesday. So a lot of the players and a lot of the coaches can't actually connect directly, although they did take to the Twitters and the Facebooks to kind of get their feelings out there and mourn their friend. I did speak with former defensive coordinator John Thompson and also former player Darius Dunaway, who was also a defensive lineman with him. And they said, although he was probably quiet to a lot of people on the outside, he was definitely a pillar to this Red Wolves team.
And it is hard, man. I can't believe that he's dead. Like, I walk around and I'm like, you know, Markel is gone. You know, that's it. And I still can't accept that fact yet.
And John Thompson also reiterated that fact as well. In fact, he tweeted later, Markel Owens will always be remembered. His heart, his smile, and his godly spirit made an impact on our lives. Love you, big man. Blake Anderson, current head coach here at Arkansas State, didn't get to work with him directly, but he also tweeted out, our thoughts and prayers go out to the friends and family of Markel Owens. In my short time here, it is easy to see why he will be dearly missed. And also, previous head coach Brian Harsin also sent out thoughts and prayers for the family of Markel Owens, his brothers at A-State, and those he touched will miss him dearly. God bless. So, albeit a 21-year-old young man, definitely made a big impact, not just on his teammates, but also on the adults that also roll through here, the coaching staff, as you heard there through some of those words there. We're going to have plenty more coming up for you tonight at 6 o'clock. But for now, live from outside Liberty Bank Stadium in Jonesboro, Jay Burr, KARK 4 News.
It's got to be so tough, Jay, because, I mean, they're coming off the highest of highs after the GoDaddy Bowl, and now they're steep in the lowest of lows. For the most part, I mean, this has got to be just you're sending shockwaves campus-wide.
Yeah, definitely. And there were a lot of people who took to social media and sort of echoed that sentiment. And you can really tell there's a sense of family, not just amongst the team, but also with some of the students, with the fan base. And that's something that they really take pride in up here in Jonesboro, of being, you know, a smaller program. They can be a lot more connected, and especially when you have a smaller school like Arkansas State, only about 14,000 students, you know, you see these guys everywhere. I remember even in my time when I was up here, I attended Arkansas State, that, you know, you'd see the football players everywhere, and they really are just like a lot of the students up here. They're not really put up on pedestals. I mean, aside from being football players, but they're really just mixed in as another one of the student body.
Yep, just fellow students. All right, Jay Burr, thanks very much. Markel Owens began playing for Arkansas State in 2010. He recently competed, as mentioned, in the GoDaddy Bowl, in which Arkansas State defeated Ball State 23-20.
ASU's athletic director Terry Mahajer and head football coach Blake Anderson releasing this statement regarding Owen's death today. Our worst fears were realized as an athletics department after being notified early this morning about the unfortunate news of Markel. We're deeply saddened and our utmost sympathies go out to his family, teammates, and classmates. Please join me in prayer for so many people who are being impacted by the loss of Markel. And to read that full statement, there's more to it in a police report on the homicide. You can go to our website, arkansasmatters.com.
Now to a KRK4 News update for you. A death row inmate will get a new trial. The Arkansas Supreme Court today ruling that Ricky Dale Newman was not mentally fit to stand trial back in 2002. A Crawford County jury sentenced Newman to death for the murder of a transient woman at Van Buren. In the opinion released this morning, justices say Newman could not effectively assist his attorneys at the original trial.
A former housing director charged with rape pleads not guilty. 56-year-old Frederick Hatley was not in court for this plea. He hired attorney, though, filed that not guilty plea for him. Hatley is accused of rape following an incident Arkadelphia police say happened back in September in his housing authority office. Jury trial is expected to begin in mid-February.
Turning to your Health Matters report this evening. When lawmakers head to the Capitol next month, they're going to have, well, a number of things to do, but one very big job, and that is pass a state budget and keep state government running.
And the biggest vote, though, whether to say yes again to a health care reform idea that they approved just back in the spring. KARK4's David Goins live outside the state capitol where the future of the private option is still uncertain, David.
That is exactly correct, Ashley. Lawmakers today expected to get some specific numbers surrounding the private option, but that didn't happen. Frankly, budget hearings over the last 3 days have gotten a little behind schedule, so they'll take up some of those details on Tuesday. However, the State Department of Human Services does say over 80,000 Arkansans have enrolled in health insurance right now because of the private option passed last spring. They didn't have it before. But if the legislature decides, obviously, not to renew a program that many outside the state have considered an innovative health care program, those Arkansans stand to lose that coverage. Many lawmakers still feel that the private option is simply an extension of the Affordable Care Act passed by Congress back in 2010, and it, as such, is a default endorsement of so-called Obamacare. DHS says it's looking forward, however, to talking about the nearly $90 million the private option is saving the state this year.
Well, we hope they'll consider the decision that was made last year and look very carefully at the new numbers that we're putting forward for 2015, the budget that begins this coming July. The numbers are very consistent with the numbers that we shared last year.
The support that they need and allow nurses to focus on that.
Coming up at 6, how one former governor hopes to influence the discussion on the private option, even as many lawmakers say their mind is already made up. Live at the state capitol, David Goins, KARK4 News.
All right, a lot on the line with this. Thanks, David. And more than half of those who have signed up for the private option are under the age of 40, and that's according to the Department of Human Services, and 75% are under 50. The trend of these younger participants should help keep insurance prices lower. The flu killing more Arkansans this week. New numbers released today show flu deaths now up to 21. That is since September 29th. The Arkansas Department of Health says this season has been especially tough on adults ages 25 to 50. And according to Monday's numbers, 7 out of the 15 victims at that time were in that age group.
Turning now to money matters this evening. A budget meeting in Bryant tonight following the resignation of the finance director. Dennis Edwards resigned on Monday after only having the position for 3 months. Tonight, City Council members will discuss several issues regarding this year's budget. The council is expected to discuss the financial report for the last 4 months of last year. The council only has until February 1st to pass the city budget there.
A Central Arkansas teen fighting to return to a sport that he loves after being kicked off his high school wrestling team.
That's right. He says he was abandoned by his mother, now living with family friends. He's lost eligibility because of all this to participate in athletics. Because Family Matters, KRK4's Drew Petrimo joining us live in the studio to explain all this and where it may go from here. Hey, Drew.
Hey, Bob. After living in poverty for years and moving from city to city, Malik Thomas was left to live with family friends in Beebe. He's excelled in school and sports, but this week he got devastating news.
electricity being shut off, water being shut off.
At 18 years old, Malik Thomas has experienced a rough life.
Having maybe amount of a can of food in the fridge.
Thomas doesn't know his father. With his mother and sister, he's rarely stayed put. Chicago, Kansas, Arkansas, back and forth they went.
I had never stayed in the school more than a year.
When he finally settled in Beebe, Thomas says his mother picked up and moved again. This time just 45 minutes to Hazen, but now an adult, Thomas was done moving. His life of struggles created a passion to succeed. Besides doing well in the classroom, Thomas also a dedicated athlete.
Wrestling is just another part of me. It's the other half.
But this week, Thomas was kicked off the wrestling team at Beebe High after district administrators found out his mother doesn't live in the city anymore. Thomas lives with family friends in Beebe who've obtained some legal power but have not officially adopted him. Thomas's living situation runs afoul with Arkansas Activities Association rules.
When you tell that person they can't do what they love, it crushes a person.
But at the urging of his new family, Thomas is not giving up.
Copy my birth certificate, Social Security card, medical record.
They're working on filing for an adult adoption that could get Thomas back on the wrestling mat, but it will require a court hearing and cost $1,000. Unfair, says Thomas, and he's speaking out for himself and others in his situation.
They're losing what they love too, because of AAA, because of school districts, because of parents, and it just.
Now, AAA Executive Director Lance Taylor pointed out today there are hardship exceptions that can be used in situations like this. Thomas's point, though, is that things should be made easier, not harder for students in his situation. Thomas has been notified that he can wrestle in a tournament this weekend, but it will not count on his record until that adoption goes through, if it does, guys.
Certainly a story we hope you follow up on, Drew, because every once in a while you come across a story like this, you kind of scratch your head. Here's a fine young man. All he wants to do is wrestle, and he runs it all the time.
He's got a bright future ahead of him, too.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that story for you. Well, would you be interested in a workout that gets right to the point?
You burn 400 calories an hour, so you are getting cardio.
Oh, how Arkansans are fencing their way into fitness coming up. Plus, some new jobs coming to Arkansas where a high-tech company is planning to expand.
And breezy, we'll go ahead and say it, warm across Arkansas today. 65 the high temperature here in Little Rock after we started at 32. But hold on to your hat. We do have lake wind advisories in for parts of the state, and grab a jacket. High temperatures tomorrow, 15 to 20 degrees colder. We'll let you know what to expect for your weekend as well in just a couple minutes.
From the station that brings you local news that matters, this is KARK 4 News at 5 in high definition. With Bob Clausen, Ashley Katz, and Chief Meteorologist Keith Monahan.